In order to familiarize yourself with a piece of software, you need to get to know its different windows and also to learn their names straight away, and that is what we're going to do now. The layout that you see is the predefined layout that also appears when the software is started up for the first time and can also be called up by a command that we find in the window menu. Revert to original layout. The basic workflow of Final Cut Pro X is very simple and effective. We have an area in which we can choose the media content to be included, one in which the editing of the clips occurs, and one in which we can view the video content coming from any area or section. Let's take a first look at these windows, and don't worry, because during the course we'll be able to get to study them in depth and know every detail. The first area on the left, which as I said is used to choose and organize the media files that we intend to use for editing, is divided into two sections. The event library, which can be hidden or displayed through this button, is used to list the events or subfolders containing imported media files that we can then view and select in the event browser. In the area at the bottom we have the timeline, which is used for editing the clips, in which we find the traditional timeline with the sliding head known as the playhead. The third visible area of this layout is the very important viewer window. This enables the viewer to view both the editing in the timeline and also each clip in the browser. Those of you who are familiar with Final Cut Pro 7 should note that the canvas window has been eliminated because this function can now be performed in the viewer window at a speed and ease of use that is incredible. In addition to these windows, there are now other equally important ones that are hidden by default. Let's take a look at them now. The first window that we see is the inspector window. This can be reached in different ways, for example via the window menu, or via the corresponding keyboard command, or also via this button in the toolbar. Here, as we'll see below, the different parameters can be modified and viewed that relate both to the single clips and possible effects or transitions, like features of the project. Speaking of projects, let's take a look now at the project library, in which we can see the list of all the completed projects. In order to return to the timeline, just click twice on the project you want to open. Another way of accessing this section is to press this button. Press again to return to the timeline. Another very useful window is the timeline index, which can be accessed by this button. The clips, transitions or effects that are part of the timeline editing are displayed here in the form of a list. Browsing is another hidden section that refers to effects, transitions, titles, etc. Lastly, at the bottom of the timeline, we can display the level meter to view and control the audio levels. The software update to the version 10.0.6 has introduced some new features, some of which we point out here. The button in the toolbar allowing access to the inspector window has been redesigned. Here is the new button. The button alongside is also new and is dedicated to exporting, as we'll see later in the specific lesson. An important innovation is the new event viewer window, which will take a closer look at the chapter on the viewer.